Okay, this is my quick and dirty video so everybody understands how to install VarAC in their Windows computers. I don't know how to do this for Linux, so you're gonna have to figure it out. And I wanna make a separate video on how to install Vara, which is needed for VarAC. Okay, so this is just the chatting software, the keyboard to keyboard software. I'll make a separate video for the modem. So the first thing you want to do is open your browser, and you are going to just type in or Google VarAC download, and you should get a link. The first link should be the right one. We're gonna go to that link, scroll down, we're gonna type our information, and then call sign, and I'm gonna put my email address. And feel free to pause this video. I'm gonna go relatively quick to keep the video short, but feel free to pause it and rewind and just to see what I'm doing. So I'm gonna say download, and it's gonna try to download an exe. I'm gonna save it in my temp folder. It's an installer. I'm gonna save it there, and the download is in progress, as you can see in the top right. And sometimes it doesn't like the download, it thinks it's a virus, so you need to authorize the download, make sure that it finishes. But in this case it finished, it says done. So I'm gonna open the folder where it's downloaded. I'm gonna click this icon in Chrome, open the folder, and you see here that we have the installer right there. So the first thing, this is an important detail, we're going to right click on the installer. I'm going to say run as administrator. Okay, we're going to run the installer as an administrator. It's giving me an alert, which is fake. I'm going to say run anyway. Okay, it's a trusted publisher, and it says welcome to the VarAC setup. I click next to continue. I'm going to agree to the license, and then I'm gonna select all the components, including the cat control file, but I am not gonna download the Vara modem in this case because I already have it installed on this computer. In your case, this may be different. Then I'm gonna say next, and it's gonna ask me where to download it. I'm just going to choose a different folder than the standard. I recommend that you use the standard folder, which is VarAC, but I'm just gonna use VarAC test, so I can delete it. Okay, I'm gonna say install, and it's gonna install the software. All right, and then I'm not gonna run it from this prompt, so I am unchecking that box and I'm clicking finish. Okay, so I'm gonna click close the browser, close the navigator, Windows Explorer, and find the link to VarAC where it was created. See icon, and I'm gonna click on that icon, and it's gonna open the VarAC window. You should get a VarAC window, which is it will ask you for some configuration. It says you must set your call sign before connecting. Once defined, hit the connect modem button. Okay. Language English, call sign. I'm gonna put the call sign here, KK4ODA. Notice that you can put some prefixes and suffixes, but I don't use that very often. QTH Atlanta, name Facundo, locator Echo Mike 73UU. You can type in the details about your radio, the power in the antenna if you want, your email, and a few other things. Just for the sake of time, I'm not gonna fill those fields right now, but you know what I'm talking about. I'm gonna say save and exit. and then it says you've changed the parameter that requires that we restart. It's okay to restart, just restart, okay? So it's going to restart. Typically when you start VarAC, it will open VARA, and then it will open the main screen. It says you have no rig frequency control defined. You will need to change frequencies manually. That's because I haven't set my radio yet. I understand that. So yes, okay. But it's not gonna work until I set the settings. What you cannot see on this screen, but I'm gonna show you in a second, is that it also automatically opened VarAHF. We're gonna look at that in a minute, but let me first show you how to set up VarAC. We're gonna go to settings. We're gonna go to rig control and VARA configurations. And then here we're gonna start choosing the type of radio. I'm gonna set this up first for VarAHF, but if you don't have HF privileges, I mean, everybody does. Even if you're a technician, you can use it on 10 meters. But I'm just gonna set it up for a standard configuration. So I'm gonna say the PTT configuration, I'm gonna use CAT for changing the frequencies. I'm gonna scroll down and look up my radio. I have an Ieyasu FTDX10. That's the CAT. And then it's gonna say what is the configuration for CAT. You see it's asking for a port, for the number of volts, parity, etc. And the way to find that information is by going to Device Manager. So I'm gonna find Device Manager. You see here's Device Manager, and if you look at Device Manager, it may be a little bit difficult to see, but if you open the COM ports, well, in my radio I have several COM ports because I have a few things connected, but you want to look up in my radio is this one that says USB to WART bridge enhanced COM port COM6. That is my radio. And if you don't know which port to use, the best thing to do is to unplug your radio or your digital interface, if you have a DigiRig or a Signalink, and see which port disappears. And the port that disappears, it's the port that the radio is using. So that is the trick that I do. So we're gonna set it to COM6. So I'm gonna come here to COM6. The baud for that port, that's something that is typically set on the radio. So my radio is set to 38400, but your radio may be different. So check the settings of the COM port on your radio, and then typically the rest it can be left to default. So 81 L and L, and then so this was the PTT configuration for CAT control, and now for frequency control we're also gonna use the same settings. We're gonna use the Ieyasu. We're gonna look up the radio, the FTDX10, and now that we have set all those things, we are ready to give it a quick try. So the first thing to do is we're gonna click the PTT on and then the PTT off buttons. So you look at your radio and make sure you have an antenna connected or a dummy load connected, and then you click PTT on and see if it's transmitting. So I'm looking at my radio and I see that it's transmitting, and then I click PTT off. So that part is working, the settings are correct, the bauds are correct. The next thing to do is to look at the frequency control. So what you do here is you see that it's set to USB-D in Ieyasu radios, that is upper sideband data. And then I'm gonna select the frequency, let's say 14105. And when I click test, what I should see is the frequency on my radio changing to 14105. And I just looked at it and it worked. So the rig settings are correct. I can go back to the 40 meter frequency, that's what I had before. And then the next step, I'm just gonna go through the most important settings. There's a million settings. We're gonna look at the VARA configuration. So you see it says rig, logging, VARA. and it's gonna say what modem type do you want to use. I'm going to use VarAC. I'm setting the program for HF, and then it's asking for the IP address for the Vara modem. This typically doesn't change. It's 127.0.0.1, and then it's asking for the port and the main port and the keys port. I'll show you that is something that you can find in your Vara install. So let me move this out of the way. See if I can show you the Vara window. If you go to the Vara window, you go under settings, Vara setup. You see the TCP port is 8300 and the keys port is 8100. Okay, and look, the other settings, you should copy what you have here. Okay, so let's go back to VarAC. The VarAC, the main port is 8300, the keys port is 8100. The file path is where you have installed the Vara modem. So in this case, it's the standard C Vara exe. There's many other settings. You can explore them, but I think that for this basic installation, I'm going to stop here. So I'm going to say save and exit. Okay. And if everything goes well, you should start seeing, if for example right now we are on the, let's go to the 40 meter frequency. You see that the frequency is 7.105.0, and we should start getting beacons showing up in this window. Okay, so a beacon is basically a transmission that anybody can pick up. So this beacon was on 20 meters when I had the frequency set to 20 meters. It occurred 0 minutes ago. The call sign is K8 KHW, and then the locator is Echo Mike 99JJ, and with an excellent signal to noise ratio, so +04. Okay, if you want to start beaconing, you just click send beacons.
Sending beacon.
And it's sending a beacon. Right now I'm looking at the screen in the radio. Okay, and then the next beacon is going to be sent 15 minutes from now. Okay, so there's much more that you can do, but this is the basic way of installing VarAC.